bring in a virus expert, Mike Tildesley. He's in Coventry, UK. He is an epidemiologist at Warwick University. Mike, good to have you on the show. You're going to make sense of some things that I'm confused about. You are a scientist who specializes in the development of mathematical models when sort of analyzing the spread of viruses. How bad can this get according to your models?
Well, at the moment, this is really hard to predict. I mean, what we're currently seeing is we're seeing that the virus is spreading in several countries around the world. So we know the biggest cluster is in China still, and we're also seeing spread in Iran and in northern Italy and also in South Korea. Most of the other cases that we're seeing throughout the world have been as a result of people traveling into their countries. And in those countries, we have only very small documented cases of human-to-human transmission. So what I will say is it's very hard to predict how bad it might get, but the next 2 to 3 weeks are really crucial. And it's really important that we react quickly. And you've already been discussing isolation measures that are in place. And of course, we need to maintain good hygiene practices to try to minimize the risk of really large-scale transmission in other countries.
Okay, I was reading an interview on CBS, I believe, where they were talking to an expert, a virus expert from Harvard University, and he said, I don't know if it's true or not, but he said up to 70% of the world's population could get infected. Now, I wasn't very good at math at school, but if 70% of the world's population and if 1% dies, we're talking about 50 to 60 million deaths. Could it get that bad? I don't want to sound alarmist, but
no, I think it's important not to sound alarmist, and you have to remember that what you're seeing presented here is a worst-case scenario. There is a lot of uncertainty, and actually this 1% mortality rate, we still have a lot of uncertainty around how accurate that is. What you need to remember is that is based upon people who are reporting infection. So we're getting about a 1 to 2% mortality rate in those clinical cases who seek treatment. What we still don't know is how many people have the disease but maybe have very mild symptoms and don't seek treatment. If that number is quite large, then of course this mortality rate that we're seeing could be significantly lower than 1%. It's important to be aware and to be vigilant, but of course the numbers that you are seeing coming out are very much a worst case scenario.
Okay, fair enough. And you do make a very good point. So I do want to underline that. All right, right now the name of the game is containment. You said the next 2-3 weeks is critically important on how we understand the spread of it. Tell us why.
Well, the biggest difficulty we have in predicting how the disease might spread is the incubation period of the disease. So what that means is that someone could be infected and they don't start to show symptoms until maybe 2 weeks after they've been infected. At that point, that means that essentially you're always a little bit behind the disease. So as soon as someone reports infection, it's really important to carry out what we call contact tracing, so try to determine where we think they may have got infection from and put in necessary measures. It's really hard to determine what the appropriate control strategy is when you're always a little bit behind. That's why if you're going to put in a containment measure, it's really important to be efficient and rapid about it. And of course, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will really have much more of an understanding of how many of these infected but not yet reported cases there are in the population.
Mike Tildesley, I do appreciate your analysis. Thank you very much for joining us here on the NewsHour.